Good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Daily Double. Tonight we're starting Maseches, not starting, we're in the middle of Maseches Eiruvin. Peri Gimel, Mishnayos Gimel and Dalet. Mishnah Gimel says we're talking about placing an Eruv Tchumen, right? An Eruv Tchumen is basically where you're placing a piece of bread or a loaf of bread, enough for 2 meals, at the border, or 2,000 amos away from the city border, so you can travel another 2,000 amos, because normally you're not allowed to walk 2,000, you only walk 2,000 amos. If you're Kona Shvisa, if you establish your residence 2,000 amos from the city by putting food over there, that's good enough for 2 meals on Shabbos. Technically, the rights only have to eat 2 meals on Shabbos. So then you establish your residence there, and you get another 2,000 amos to walk. So let's say Nasna Be'ilah, and the Mishnah Gemara says Lamala Masar Tvachim. You place it 2,000 amos away from the city, but you put it in a tree. The tree is 10 tvachim above the ground. And the tree has a lot of branches, so it's 4 tvachim wide. The trunk of the tree is 4 tvachim wide. Ein Eruvo Eruv. It's not a good Eruv, because at Ben Hashmashos on Friday night when it turns into Shabbos, you have to be able to get it, right? And we're talking about a case where the ground is Sharabim and the tree is Shazayakid. So I can't get my Eruv. I have to be able to Kona Shvisa. I have to be able to eat the food, and I can't do it, but I can't carry from Shayakid to Sharabim. If it's on the tree but it's below 10 Tvachim, Eruvo Eruv, that's okay, because between 3 and 10 Tvachim is considered to be a Carmelis. And a Carmelis is only a D'Rabbanan. And we hold like Rebbe that the Rabbanim weren't gozer on Shvus, Ben Hashmashos. Ben Hashmashos, they were not gozer on something to Rabbanim. Now let's do a bore. You put it in a pit. Afila alok mea ama eruvo eruv. If you put it in a pit, now this case in the Mishnah is talking about where the surrounding area is not a Risharam, it's a Carmelis, because the bore is, if it's 100 amos deep and it's 4 tvachim wide, so then it would be Rish Yachid. Now let's know Barosh Hakana, Barosh Hakundus. You took it and you put it on top of a pole. There's Manshu Tolish Venos. It's a pole. A javelin or something like that. You took it from the Olympics, and you stuck it into the ground. Now, filu gavoa mea amo, even it's 100 amos high. It's 100 amos javelin, 150 feet foot javelin. How is it Eruv? It's an Eruv. Why is it an Eruv? Because even though it's above 10 tefachim, but it's not 4 tefachim. It's a skinny little javelin. It's not 4 tefachim wide, so therefore it's not considered shazayachid. Now let's do with migdal. Let's say you put the Eruv in a chest, all right? The drawers, a big box, let's say, that was tied shut with a key. You don't have access to the key. You can't get the food. How raise the Eruv? The Rachamon hold it is an Eruv. Now we're talking about a case where it's tied. The Gemara says it's tied with ropes, and you're taking a knife. You ought to take a knife, even though a knife is muksa, a knife that you're not using for eating. Let's say. Oh, sorry, a regular knife. Right? A knife is not muksa. You can take a knife to cut the rope is only the Rabbanon. So again, we're not gozer shvus. Rebbe says the Rabbanon weren't gozer shvus ben hashmashos. So it's only the Rabbanon. You can get to your Eruv on ben hashmashos. Lezer Omer, you don't have to practically get there. Theoretically, you could get there. Lezer Omer, he says if you don't have the key and you want to use a knife, you can't do it. Lezer holds like Rabbi Horai, who says that even though normally you can move Klish Malach Lahet there for right, it has to. He holds Rabbi Horai, not Rabbi Horai. Who is the Tana? What's Nassan? There's an opinion in the Tanoim that says that Ein Klinita El Sorach. It has to be used for what is normally used. A knife is used to cut food, not to cut ropes. So therefore, you have 2 Yisur. You have Moksa plus the Issa Derabanan of cutting a rope, which is Asr Min Derabanan of Korea, right? So therefore, you can't get to it, and it's not an Eruv. We pass on the Rabbanan. It's only one Rabbanan is okay. Down this Gal Chutz L'Tchum. The Eruv was there. You put it there before Shabbos, and it rolled before Shabbos. It rolled outside the 2,000 amos. V'nafa alav gal, or a pile fell on it. A building collapsed in it. You're not gonna be able to get there. Oh nisraf, or burned. Oh truma v'nitme, or it was truma. It became tummy. Tummy truma you can't eat. Maybe oh yom, no Kohen can eat. Oh yom, ain't no Eruv. If this happened before Ben Hashmash, before Shkia, it's not an Eruv because it's Kona Shvisa. It established the residence exactly Ben Hashmash. Mishach Hashech, however, if these things happen once it already became dark, how is it Eruv? It is an Eruv because as long as Ben Hashmashos, it was a good Eruv that establishes your residence for the entire Shabbos. In Safek, if you're not sure whether it got a building fell on it or burnt before Shkia or after Shkia, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda Omrim, Harizah Chamar Gama, you're stuck. So it's even worse than a regular person. A regular person could travel to 2,000 amos the entire in any direction from the city. This person We're not sure if it isn't. If it's not an Eruv, right? So then you can travel 2,000 amos to that side. If it is an Eruv, right? So you can travel 4,000 amos to that side, but to the other side of the city, you can't go outside the city limits. So therefore, this person can only go 2,000 amos to one side, and the other side of the city you can't go at all. So it's a chumrah. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Omrim, Safek Eruv Kasher. He said a Safek Eruv in this case would be kosher. Am Rabbi Yossi Avtalim was Heid Mechishum Chamishus came on Safek Eruv Shekasher is kosher. The reason the Rav Vadir Bertuna explains is that the Amrina Hamid Eruv Achazkaso Kshenicho Haya Betoch Hatchum Haya Tohar Velo Haya Alav Gal Lefichach Eruv the Chen Allah does follow this opinion. There's a chazaka, there's an assumption, right? And Ben Ashmash, before Shabbos, he put it there. It was in the right place. Didn't move out of the place before Shabbos. Did it get burnt? We don't know. So the chazaka is it was in the right place. It wasn't burnt. So you go after the chazaka, and therefore it resolves the suffix, and we assume that it was in the right place. And you have 4,000 amos on one side. On the other side, you don't have any space to go. We're going to talk about Eiruvin Mitzion, Machlokes, Rav Meir, Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon. It's related, funny, to Eiruvin Ben Tzion. I just did Maseches Nazir, Savik Drais Alachumra. Talk about that here in regards to Maseches Eiruvin, Eiruvin Mitzion coming up next.